Am I the asshole for letting my niece drink and watch graphic movie? I was spending a weekend at our family's cabin with my sister's family. They came in a few hours after me, 37F, and realized they left a bunch of stuff they needed, so they were going to drive into the nearest town for them. My niece, 23, wanted to stay behind to enjoy lake, so they left her behind, but it started raining and there's no data or Wi-Fi at the cabin, so she complained there was nothing to do since she forgot to download something. I had my laptop with me that had a bunch of old movies on it and gave it to her. I didn't check what she was watching and she had her headphones in, so I didn't hear anything. I didn't bother to check either because I assumed she was an adult and could watch whatever she wanted anyway. Then she asked if she could get one of the beers I'd brought with me and some of the snacks, and I said okay and went to lay down. My sister, husband and brother back after maybe 1.5h and found her watching Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, 2009 version, and on her second beer. They were so mad and were yelling at her until she said I gave her the laptop and said she could have some beer, and then they got mad at me saying she isn't allowed to drink and the dirty movie was going to turn her into a whore. I definitely remember drinking as a family with my nephew who is 21. Age of drinking is 19. We live in BC, Canada. I asked if she had a medical condition or on meds and they said no, but alcohol was bad so no one should drink. They dismissed when I asked why my nephew was drinking with us near the holidays if she wasn't allowed to, and they argued if they didn't let him drink at home he would go out and get drunk and get into trouble anyway, but my niece was a good girl and wouldn't drink if it wasn't around. In my opinion, if my niece wants to drink she can walk into any liquor store and get it anyway, so as long as she's not drinking too much it shouldn't be a problem. But am I the asshole for letting my niece drink and watch graphic movie? Not the asshole. 23 is an adult. You weren't letting her do anything. She made a choice. Not the asshole, you didn't let anyone do anything. She's 23 lol. Not the asshole. WTF is wrong with your sister? That's wildly creepy, calling a grown woman a good girl as a parent. That is disgusting, she's not a child. Low-key perverted. Like they want to keep her purity or something, nasty AF. Hang on, did I read that right? This woman is 23 years old? And she's not allowed to drink. Not the asshole. But I'm pretty concerned for your niece. As soon as I saw that your niece was above 21, I stopped reading, gonna be honest. Not as an affront to you. I just find it ridiculous that a legal adult is being barred from doing legal adult things. Holy shit, this girl is being controlled to the max. Can you save her? Jesus lol. Not the asshole. No, you're perfectly fine. In fact, if your niece is still living with her family, can you help her move out? Not the asshole, she's 23. I'd be worried about your niece as everyone super close to her seems extremely controlling. Found her watching Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, 2009 version, and on her. I gasped. 8th? 9th? She couldn't have powered through a whole 12-pack already? It's only been an hour and a half. Second beer. See, Mon. Not the asshole. Of course. Sounds like a nice afternoon honestly. Except for the wet blankets. Am I the asshole for making a racist joke? I 15 female was hanging out with my 16 female friend and we were like talking about different cuisines and she brought up about Chinese cuisines and I made a joke saying how I ate dog and snake meat. The joke was because dogs and snakes are my favorite animals. She then went on a full-on rampage saying how racist I was for implying that all Chinese people ate dogs and snakes and stuff like that. But funny thing is, I'm Chinese, Cantonese, myself, and I've actually tried snake before. Or specifically snake soup. It's a real delicacy in HK. So I have to admit it was kinda ironic. I got slightly annoyed at her saying how racist I was, so I decided to tell her that my grandparents actually ate dog, cat meat before and asked if that was yet again racist. She got even more aggravated and said that it didn't matter and what mattered was that I was implying that all Chinese people eat dogs, snakes and etc. That wasn't what the joke was supposed to be about, but I admit it might be racist. She soon shortly after left and sent a really long text to me about how I was disrespectful to Chinese culture and that she doesn't tolerate racist people. The whole situation was hilarious at first, but now I feel bad because I made an unnecessary joke and she was just trying to tell me how it was racist, though I don't fully think I'm the asshole. But just in case I stepped over the line. Reddit, am I the asshole? And #X200B. Edit for just in case. She's white. Another edit. Please read the part where I stated why I made the joke. Some people are so hilarious in this comment section. Another edit. Guys, I live in HK, I don't live in America or any other of the sort. I've stayed in HK my whole life. Another edit. I may have edited this post too much, but hey. Don't send me any death threats, hate, since I've been getting some of them lately. I thought it was common sense, but AITA. Tell me she's white. Lol. Not the asshole. Stereotypes became stereotypes for a reason. Even if not everyone ate dog or cat or snake, enough have that it's a known thing. I don't see a problem with it. Not the asshole. As a minority, I hate it when other people are offended for me. If anything, she's the racist one for making that jump in conclusion, as if the connection between eating dog and Chinese is set in stone, and any joke about eating dog is therefore a joke about Chinese people. Comedy is always a minefield, and there is no universal measure on when something is funny and when something is offensive. The line is defined by the audience of your joke. Although with how fervently she raged, seemed more like a virtue signal than anything. As in, she's not angry because she finds it genuinely offensive. It's just a knee-jerk response that tells you she should be outraged. Some Chinese people eat dog. Some Chinese people eat macaroni. Some Chinese people eat at Burger King. Maybe I missed some crucial point here, but I don't get why this is racist. Maybe if there is an assumption that only bad people would eat dogs, and by extension you're saying all Chinese people are bad, then MAAAAAAAYBE? I mean, it doesn't seem like you're saying that at all, but maybe that's what your asshole friend thought you meant. Not the asshole. Lol, it would be racist if she said it, assuming she's not Chinese. You can make jokes about your own culture. I bet your friend is white. Not the asshole. This uber woke crap is ridiculous. Sue, I'm Hispanic and I don't make jokes about my culture because that enables white people to feel more comfortable in their microaggressions and racism. It perpetuates harmful ideas about my own culture and it validates hateful people. Your friend is definitely going through a whole white savior thing while she gets more comfortable and mature in her feminism and advocacy. I want to say esh. Not the asshole. You were joking about your own culture. Don't think that would be racist. If you were of some other ethnicity, it could be seen as you not knowing much about Chinese culture and thus stereotyping them. It's like making an inside joke. If an outsider tries that joke on you, you'd feel weird. Is your friend Chinese as well? Not the asshole. Not your fault she doesn't understand humor. Even if not all Chinese people eat dog and snake, it still is part of the cuisine. At least the snakes. I don't know about any dog-centered dishes. Am I the asshole for not taking my niece to France? I, 37 male, live in the US with my 36 female spouse. She is American and I'm French. We both didn't want kids and didn't have any. And we enjoy our life this way together. We have nieces and nephews we see occasionally during the holidays or family gathering. We just came back from a family visit that ended up in some argument with our relatives over taking our niece, 17 yo, to a planned trip to France to hang out with my family for 4 weeks during the summer break. By any means our niece is a good kid. We watched a couple times at our home or theirs when her parents needed to be out of town and couldn't take her. She listens to us for the most part, but there are things she just doesn't do and gives us some attitude about when asked to. Like taking her shoes off, not eating on the couch, asking adults for food instead of snacking, staying at the table until the end of the meal, waiting for everyone to start eating, setting the table, asking if she can watch TV instead of turning it on at will. Those may seem like minor trivial details, but they are not where I come from. Arguing with adults over this type of trivial thing is not even thing in my family. No fault of her own. Culturally kids are raised differently here and there, and I'm fine with it, but this is also why I don't want to bring her with us on our trip. My sister has a big property with farm animals, a bed and breakfast, and all the kids are used to doing chores and don't argue because it's a communal thing we do together. Her property is a classic French small castle gem and there is always something to do. We planned to drive to a couple wine places, visit friends, and we would need to leave our niece in the care of my sister. I already know that the way my sister plans days for her kids will be a problem to my niece and I don't want to burden her with that. She is making her home a welcoming place for over 18 family members plus the guests in the bed and breakfast throughout the summer. We just do what she tells us and help where we can because she is the host. It's the way we've done it since forever. So when my brother-in-law asked if I could take our niece on our trip to France, I said no. He insisted I ask my sister before I answered and I said that I wouldn't. I asked that we talk in private and not front of the kids to explain why to him. He started screaming, so I answered why, mentioning that French families operate differently and it wouldn't work for anyone. I know for a fact that my sister doesn't want any of it. She hosted an American exchange student once and didn't have a good time at all, and it was around the property work and chores. Now Bill, Sil, Mill and Phil are pissed off and trying to get my wife to make it happen, for the sake of our niece. Am I the asshole for not wanting to take my niece to France? Not the asshole. If they want her to go to France, they should take her. You are not obligated to do this. Period. It's not your child. Edit. Oh wow. I didn't expect so many upvotes and an award. Thank you Purple Heart. Not the asshole. It's your vacation. Them asking is fine, but when you said no, that should have been it. You'd have to have her with you for 4 weeks and have your sister babysit her as well. It's unfair to be asked to do that. You decided to not have children for a reason. What an amazing opportunity that would have been for a 17-year-old. What a shame for her that she hasn't been taught to be a better guest. But she hasn't, so that's that. If you're not comfortable inflicting her on your sister, then there's no way you are obliged to. Your brother-in-law is astoundingly oblivious and entitled to yell at you and try to force this, which shows exactly where your niece got her attitude, and gives you no way at all to be confident that your niece would even try to be better, more respectful if she did go. At 17, if she can't handle being told, "No, you can't go to France with your aunt," then that's proving the point even further. Not the asshole, and don't ruin your trip by caving to pressure. Info. This doesn't change my judgment. I'm just curious. Who would be paying for her trip? Not the asshole. You don't need a reason to not take someone else's kid on a vacation. That said, you could take me. I will do all my chores and will happily set the table. Not the asshole. He insisted I ask my sister before I answered. You had already answered and said no. Him persisting is where he graduates to the asshole. This is his kid he's asking you to take to your side of the family for a month. You have valid reasons for recognizing this wouldn't be a good fit, and frankly even just, "'cause I don't wanna" is good enough too. Not the asshole. Your reasoning doesn't matter. You are not obligated to allow anyone outside your nuclear family, in your case, you and your to tag along on trips. I can understand why your in-laws are upset with your stated reasoning. I'd be offended if I was told, "Your kids can't come because Americans are raised differently." You should have simply stated, "My sister is hosting wife and I will not impose on her hospitality by making her host and entertain someone she's not related to." Or, "This trip is for wife and I," and left it at that. No explanation needed. But I'm not willing to declare you an A for that, because they should have accepted the first no to begin with. Not the asshole. There are real cultural differences, and like you said, you didn't have kids for a reason. It's your vacation, they'll get over it. Not the asshole. Your in-laws want niece to visit France, let them pay. They can send her as an exchange student or take her there on vacation. This is not your responsibility, and it would be very unkind to make 18 people suffer because your in-laws bullied you. Am I the asshole for moving out without telling my roommates while knowing they can't take care of themselves? Edit. Been getting a lot of requests for updates. The rental periods ends April 30th. I will post an update around that time for those interested. Warning. Alt account. 25M. I'm a lineman for an internet service provider. I moved out of my parents' house 2 years ago into my own apartment. During this time I worked night shifts for an internet service provider as a lineman. I would frequently work from 10 p.m. until 7 a.m. or 12 a.m. until 9 a.m. When it came to renting, my contract was that I would pay rent every 2 months at the request of the landlord. The apartment was 4.5 style 1. It had 2 bedrooms, a living room, and a kitchen along with a single bathroom. I would frequently have my girlfriend over as she shared a similar work schedule. Our date nights were us just making breakfast, dinner together, and the occasional Netflix and chill time. However, we would normally just sleep together. And #X200B. Everything changed 6 months ago. Things changed when my twin brother and 2 friends who also happened to be twins decided to follow my stead and move out for the next university semester. For 2 months they had no issues in their own apartment. This was when they pleaded with me to let them move in for 2 months so they could find a cheaper apartment as they were worried about inflation. And #X200B. I agreed to let them move in for 2 months as long as they respected these conditions. And #X200B. 1. Everyone must contribute to the apartment costs and groceries. 2. Everyone must help with chores and cooking. 3. When I got back from work there was to be a 5-hour quiet period in which guests were not allowed. The exact timing would be given a week in accordance with my work schedule. And #X200B. The problems began in the second month. It started with the twins quitting their jobs at the request of their mother. Then their mother began to visit every 2-3 days and would always come during the quiet period. There were even days she would knock on my door to wake me just so she could talk with me, and once she straight up entered my room. Aside from the visits, they all began to game with voice chats so that it would frequently wake me up. When I tried to remind them of the rules, only to be met with excuses. At the end of the month, I was met with the worst surprise. Behind my back, mine and the twins' mother decided that the current living situation would be permanent. And #X200B. And #X200B. I was having none of it. I secretly made preparations and plans with my girlfriend so that I could move in with her. I had no choice but to move out, as the sleep deprivation got to the point that one day I slept at a truck stop, as that was the only way to get good sleep. When the twins' mother planned an impromptu trip to their cottage, I seized the opportunity and within a day I moved out. I left a note saying that I would no longer be living there and that the current rent has been paid. The next rent period and utilities are theirs to handle. And #X200B. And #X200B. Am I the asshole for moving out when I know they can't take care of themselves while putting the burden on my and the twins' parents? Hell no, not the asshole. They knew the rules and flouted them. On top of that, they did not respect you. Why did they leave home if their mother was always around? But is your name off the lease and utilities? Landlord okay with you moving? Not the asshole when it comes to your brother and his two friends. They basically took the apartment from you, ignored the rules, changed their agreement without asking, and now they can pay for it. They are Oz along with other family that made decisions without talking to you. But I feel that there's something really wrong and weird here. Doesn't anyone have a lease or any signed agreements? Does your mom and the mom of the twins have some arrangement with the landlord? You said you have a contract, but I've never had an apartment lease without a clause saying I am responsible for the property and the rent. You are the asshole to the landlord if there is a contractual responsibility to pay the rent for a lease or contract term and you skipped out on it, not your brother and his friends. Not the asshole. That's what happens when you're a shitty roommate. The mom can move in with them. Yeehaw. As soon as I read the bit about sleep-deprived graveyard worker, I decided not the asshole because I've been there and it blows. You are doubly not the asshole for taking care of preparing whatever and removing your name from the lease. Not the asshole. Parents can decide on their living situation. Parents can pay for that living situation. Not the asshole. They didn't consult you about the situation being permanent, so you granted them the same courtesy when moving out. Not the asshole. But I don't understand the setup. You say the apartment was 4.5 style 1, but then go on to day or had 2 bedrooms, a living room, kitchen and single bathroom. How did 4 adults live comfortably in the apartment? Where did everyone sleep? Not the asshole. They shouldn't have been assholes. Sucks for them lol.